All right, welcome in, ladies and gents. Welcome to another live stream here. How are we all doing? What is going on? We have some interesting price action to cover with you all today. I'll tell you what, it's nice to do this not on the treadmill for once. I mean, after doing it so many times. But yeah, we're just kind of hanging out right now. $107,000 on Bitcoin. Dominance has shot up. Dominance has shot up. And 60.7% right now. So we got a lot to cover here in this live stream. Welcome on in. Shout out to Mikey B300. We ain't scared, homie. I'm with you right there, dude. I'm with you right there. What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome on into the live stream. We're pinning that comment right here, Mikey B300. Shout out to everyone tuning in today. How are you all doing? Smash up those likes as you are coming in here. We got Bitcoin sitting at $107,000. Trust has been broken. A market without trust is a failed market. Alan says, what's up, peeps? 14 days in says, you're all delusional. Bear market is here. Gathering Moment says, I'm not scared because I'm already down 70% on my holds. Oh, no. Oh, bro's down bad. AL says it's the last shakeout. I agree with you, dude. I agree with you. Deer in the headlights. Let's go, ladies and gents. Welcome into the live stream. Smash up those likes as you are coming in here. We're sitting at 19 likes right now. Let's get this thing up to 50. Nice and easy, light work. As you are coming in, smash up those likes. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. But, maybe more important today, let me know in one word, are you bearish or bullish today? And I mean in general. I don't mean, you know, right now. I think, you know, immediate term, we definitely could keep on sliding. But, you know, zooming out a little bit, you bullish or bearish? Basically, you think we're in a bear market? Let's put it that way. Do you think we're in a bear market or not? Let me know in the live chat. Welcome in, everyone. We do have Bitcoin sitting at 60.7% dominance. We have Ethereum at 3,600. Ethereum against Bitcoin is looking completely fine. It's just trending down inside of an already pre-existing downtrend. We've got Litecoin getting smashed against Bitcoin here, although only down to recent lows that it's already seen throughout this year. Solana did end up breaking that support level. I think we all saw that coming. And it's finding support at its next kind of interim level here, 160. But this level is not perfect. And we might have to come back down to the 120s with that in mind. So we're going to be covering what all that looks like here in this market. There's a lot more that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be going through all the alts. Of course, as usual, we're going to be looking at the stock market. What's the stock market saying today? It's chilling, dude. It's a little bit of consolidation. Popped an all-time high. It's consolidating inside of the gap that it made. I mean, nothing crazy going on here. Welcome into the stream, everyone. Smash up those likes as you are tuning in today. Thank you all for tuning in. Let's get these likes up to 50 real quick. Let's see what we're saying in the comments. Let's see how we're feeling. So we got, and we're going to make a poll as well. I'm going to make a poll right now. Do you think we are now in a bear market? All right, there we go. I've just put that poll in the live chat. Go ahead and vote on that poll as well as you are coming into this stream. Let's see what you guys are saying. So we got, I think most people are saying that they're bullish here. Okay, still bullish but scared. Yeah, I think that's real. I think that's a very, very healthy kind of place to be right now. I mean, just from my experience, right? Like, this might not work out. It might turn out that being bullish here is really stupid, and actually everyone should have fucking went into stables at 126. But, you know, realistically, from my experience of having been here so many times, I do think that you know, this kind of looks, this feels very similar to, I mean, I think the biggest telling sign of this really is, you know, sometimes the market's going to reach a point where it just makes you feel so fucking terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just feel so terrible. You've lost so much money and it looks so bleak. And it just makes you feel sick, and it makes you question why you ever even entered crypto. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gets kind of deep. You know, you'll be like, why did I even ever start doing this shit? That's kind of what it becomes. And I know this because I've been there, innit? You know, like I've lived this. I've lived this, you know, quite a few times. And it really tests you, you know. I mean, these are testing times, isn't it? But actually, that's why I'm coming on stream today, and I'm literally just saying, hey, look, I mean, you know, here's the weekly time frame real quick. Go ahead and delete everything off this chart. This is what our weekly chart looks like right now, you know. And this is funny because, you know, I'm just kind of hanging out, doing my thing. And all of a sudden, I see this. I see this chart. I open up Bitcoin. I'm looking at Twitter. I'm looking at Telegram. I'm looking at Discord. I'm looking at everything going on. I'm looking at the group chats. Everybody's lost their mind. Everybody's done. Everybody's just GG'd out. Nobody wants to be in this anymore. It just feels to me like everyone else is looking at a different chart. And, I mean, partially, yeah, that's true, they are, because they're looking at altcoins. But, I mean, we're seeing a prevailing market sentiment that says we're in a macro bear market right now. You know, so, I mean, shit, retail's got to be on it. You know what I'm saying? For retail to have picked up that this was the top since fucking 108, where we set our all-time high up here. Because it's the same narrative that just picked up steam. It got really intense over here. Just like it got really intense over here. To be honest, this narrative's been ongoing since at least down here. At least. At least. I've been here this entire market cycle. So have many of you. This narrative has been ongoing since at least down here. You know, like 25k. I know you can't see my cursor. But, you know, it's been a long time. And man, I mean, you know, they're really intensified in this range here. I mean, that's a first. You know, you got retail picking out the top within like 10% of the top, more or less. You know, fucking hell, what an impressive move there. Honestly, GG to you guys if you are bearish and you've kind of positioned up that way. You know, and you just read it that early with everyone else at the same time. Wow, good job, dude. I'm serious. That's like, you know, like if it is actually real, like shit, I got it wrong. You know what I mean? And I accept that I'm going to get it wrong. I've always said that. I've always said that with pride, actually. We're 5 away from 50 likes, ladies and gents. Smash them up. I've always said it with pride. I've always said that I don't, you know, like I don't think I'm going to get the market top or the bottom correct. You know, I've been doing pretty well. I've been doing pretty well having said that. But it's hard. It's very hard to pick the top. There is no new narrative for a pump. I don't know about that, dude. There's a million narratives in both directions at any given time, aren't there? So I think there's something interesting at play here, and it's actually fucking terrifying because it's basically the kind of the crazy trend. And I wish I had the chart, but I didn't save it when I saw it. It was a while ago, and it was job openings trending down since the launch of ChatGPT, and the S&P 500 trending up. Now, previously there was a meaningful correlation between job openings and S&P 500 in that, you know, if employment essentially was good, the S&P 500 would be good. But you know, it became like a bit of an exception. You know, this time is different type shit. Like back in like 2023. Yeah, specifically 23, 24, and especially 2025. And it's getting worse. It's like it's getting worse. I think you mean macroeconomics instead of micro. I'm not so sure about that one, dude. But you know, it's been getting worse. And so what happened was And it was so interesting because basically what it was is like S&P was going up like this, job openings were going up like this, and then they both started to trend down a little bit, and then ChatGPT launched here, and then the S&P went like that, and job openings continued going down like that. And it was like kind of the first time in history. It's like it's a before and after. It's this fucking thing right here, the launch of ChatGPT. That was what started it off. And I mean, of course it was. You know, it's better than humans in a lot of ways, right? Like it works better. It works 24/7. First of all, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's no surprise that everybody wants to be a small business owner these days, and that everybody is choosing an AI to help them instead of, you know, something else. And if a small business is doing that, what do you think a big business is doing? Do you know what I'm saying? Is it like big businesses don't like profit either? No. So, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do as well to maximize their margins. And I really think that this is a before and after. I think this is a paradigm shift, you know? And it makes sense, right? I mean, you know, we're not that special. We're not that important. The world's going to keep on moving. And, you know, this kind of took the world by storm when the iPhone released, right? And then when social media became a big thing, that was huge. We're going through another one of those right now, and it's AI. And it's obvious. It's very obvious that that's what this is. So, if that's where we are, I've always pegged my beliefs on, look, I mean, by the way, it's amazing, because I've been saying this on this YouTube channel for so long. But it's nice to get validated by a man like Elon, because I was watching his podcast, just listening to his podcast just now, just before going live, with Joe Rogan. That podcast was like 2 days ago, maybe 3, 4, whatever. And he literally said that, you know, and everybody knows this, you know, that the stock market is kind of the economy actually is kind of entirely being propped up by AI right now. But people say that like it's a bad thing. And it is a pretty bad thing. But what we need to, you know, kind of keep in mind along this same line of thought is, while that's happening, other things are happening that create value on the other side. I think that's really, really important, and that's what innovation does. I mean, this is basic stuff. This is basic. Like, what does innovation do? It brings you more stuff, right? And then when innovation is done in certain ways, it'll give you more stuff for less money. Your dollars will take you further, and that's definitely what tech has given us. I mean, there's so many examples of this. When tech matures, good tech becomes accessible at cheap levels. I mean, look at cars. Look at cars. Like, brand new cars these days that release for like 30 grand. You know, which are like considered like, you know, I don't know, they're not like super expensive at 30 grand. Those kind of cars are great compared to how they used to be like 20 years ago. Like, everything's better. Phones. I remember when smartphones were the big thing, and every year there was a new Android Snapdragon chip or whatever. And it was the craziest thing ever. But now you can get a $500 phone. It's as good as an iPhone. Do you know what I'm saying? So you get more for your money with innovation, and that kind of sort of corrects some of the problems that, you know, crippling unemployment and so on would bring to the economy. It sort of helps things get cheaper. You know, and that's one thing. But on the other side, and this is much bigger, the other big thing that Elon was talking about, which I really have believed for a long time, because it's obvious, is that as you get these, and I can demonstrate this very easily, as you get these companies here that, you know, are big in tech fields or anything that's really revolutionary, they'll kind of define the world. So, for example, in the last century, and even now, it's oil. So we've got Saudi Aramco up here, you know, and they're ranked number 11 on the same top assets by market cap page that gold and silver and Nvidia sit on. Saudi Aramco, it's still around. It's a big deal, right? And it's kind of like defined the world. But a better example is really anything in tech. You know, like every single top company here, every single top company, every single one is tech. And, you know, and it's all out of like that northwest region of the United States. It's all from that one specific region, which is what we know. The whole economy is kind of being propped up by AI right now. But what I'm saying is that creates new paradigms. That it literally puts us in a different stratosphere of numbers is what I'm saying. Am I making sense here, ladies and gents? You know, like when the pie gets bigger because the economy is growing thanks to one specific industry. Everyone's saying it's growing thanks to one specific industry. Everything's hinged on AI, and that's dangerous. You're right, it is, but it's not unusual either. That's what I'm saying. You know, we rewind the clock 20 years ago. The things that were propping up the economy, you know, these things are changing, but it's more and more tech, like over time. It's more and more tech, and I think when everyone's got incredible amounts of compute in their pocket, incredible capabilities, and when companies have that as well, the value that can be created is immense. And I think that's what's sending us to ridiculous numbers like this. Like, this is what normal looks like in a post-AI revolutionary world. That should make sense. I think I got my point across with what I just said. Right? Is that these kind of numbers, essentially, get used to them, in a sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, shit, I could be wrong about this, man. This shit could be way overvalued right now. But is it? I mean, I know that it's hype. I know that that's how these markets operate. But I mean, this is fucking insane. This is just crazy. This is NVIDIA. This is just absolutely jaw-droppingly insane. Ladies and gents, welcome on into the live stream. Smash up those likes if you haven't done so already. We are 33 likes away from 100. Smash them up. Thank you all very much for the support. Really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel, make sure you do subscribe. You're getting grounded analysis here. You know, we're not buying into the narratives. We're just kind of... I'm detached from the space, guys. I'm not in this shit, you know, the way other people are. I'm not. I don't want to be. I want to make money, fam. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here to make money. I'm not here to, I don't know, fuck around. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big deal for me. So, so if you like that too, you already know the deal. Hit up that subscribe button. While you're down there, enter.brofi.com right here. Join BroFi VIP pre-launch right now. This is a private group I've just launched. You're going to get direct access to me and my proven tools and strategies. You're going to get instant access to the only consistent tool that truly transforms traders into spectacular before and after realities. What's really cool about this is the whole idea here, and we're still building this out. You're in early access right now. You're getting in at the cheapest price it's ever going to be, and you're getting a lock-in at that price. Is we're going to deconstruct how you view the markets, and then we're going to reconstruct it in a healthy way. It'll be sustainable. Then you're going to weather the storms with us. We're doing that right now. Our chat is lit. We got profits in the chat. One of our members here, really cool guy, up 73% on a beautiful short that he took in this market right now. I don't know. Let me see if I can. I don't think I can show that on screen right here. But super, super cool stuff. And then hopefully, everything goes well. You got a little bit of luck on your side as well. You start seeing some results. So really, really cool stuff. We're doing weekly lives as well. And I fully laid out every single trade, investment, spot buy, everything that I'm looking at on last week's live. The next one is in a couple of days. We're probably going to do more than just one a week. And the key part is that intimacy. The group is still not super big. And because of that, you're getting a lot of direct access to me as well, which is really, really cool. So get yourself inside if that sounds cool. That's linked at the top of the description. But NVIDIA, absolutely insane. Absolutely jaw-droppingly insane. It doesn't make sense. And what I have to say about this is, where in NVIDIA's journey are we? Are we in a stage right now where infrastructure is being set up, or where infrastructure is being deployed, or rather where the results of that infrastructure is actually meaningfully doing something? And those are two different stages, right? One stage is set up, and one stage is doing the work. And there's a lot of speculation that clicks by during setup, which makes complete sense. But when you're doing something at scale as well, that's when things get really crazy. I'm talking in terms of valuations. So, like, I'm looking at companies like Tesla, which I think has done incredibly well. And it's flying right now. You know, like, it's doing very, very well. It looks beautiful. And Tesla is a great example of a company that innovates at a high level and then deploys, and maintains that scale, which I think is incredible. Tesla's huge. I genuinely, I had to start looking at stocks this year, guys. Crypto's been pretty terrible. But I also think that, stocks are just an easier kind of thing to work with than crypto. That's why I'm doing both. That's why inside of BroFi, it's not just crypto. There's a heavy focus on crypto, but there's a heavy focus on stocks too. This is what I'm doing full time. So I got a heavy focus on everything. And that definitely includes traditional finance as well. Really, really cool stuff here. And it's definitely something I'm excited for. But, what does that all mean for Bitcoin? Look, certainly there's been incredible weakness for Bitcoin recently. But at the same time, the general correlation is there. It's just that when the S&P does something, Bitcoin does the same thing. Now, Bitcoin is way weaker than the S&P by comparison. The S&P is at all-time highs, and Bitcoin is kind of close, but not really there. It looks like it's about 15% away or like 18% away, right? It's not actually that crazy, but that's kind of where Bitcoin is in comparison to the S&P 500. Yet it still kind of rallies at the same time, right? So if we take a look at this. And we're, the time frames are not ideal here. It should be a smaller time frame, but you'll understand my point anyway. If we just look at this right here, drop a vertical line. This is, S&P basically tops right here. Bitcoin tops a couple days prior. S&P kind of starts rallying from here. Bitcoin starts rallying a couple days later. S&P's rally is strong. Bitcoin's rally isn't strong, but they're still moving in tandem. It's just that there's unique weakness here, essentially, for Bitcoin that the S&P doesn't have. And shit, that could be permanent. You know what I mean? That could be permanent. I don't think it's permanent. I think that, again, we get a really good sense of what this chart is. And it's interesting, right? Because I showed you guys this weekly chart just a few moments ago, and one of the comments was, it does look heavy, though, not going to lie. That's what somebody said in the live chat. And yeah, sure, it might look a little bit heavy, but how heavy? Does it look as heavy as this? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, does it look heavy like this? Because this is fine. This is totally reasonable for Bitcoin. Right? Again, and this is important, right? Is a lot of people think the markets revolve around them. And if they don't like what the market's doing, then the market shouldn't do that. But as we understand as, mature adults, that's not how these markets work. These markets are going to do what they're going to do. And that's going to be regardless of if you're happy about it or not. Most importantly, the markets don't exist to please you. You just gotta read the market for what it is and make your money where you can. That's really the only game here. You know what I'm saying? So sure, it might look a little bit heavy, but shit, are you guys in the same market as I am? This is fine. It's slowed down a little bit. Shit, it should slow down. Look at this rally. What do you think? That's literally a 2.8x return inside of 6, what is this? I don't even know how many months that is. Yeah, it's 6-7 months, right? 6.5. And then from this low here to the high, that's still 150% up. What the fuck's wrong with you guys? The people that are losing your minds over this. What do you guys see? Are you guys even looking at the same chart? 150%. What do you mean, dude? And now we're down by 14. The extremity of emotion relative to the garden variety pullback we're in is so ridiculous that it can't be parodied. This is a clown market. The librarian. The librarian. I completely agree with you. Completely. You've hit the nail on the head. The librarian is saying that the level to which this market feels so emotionally fucked compared to how benign, compared to how, completely insignificant this move has actually been, is crazy. It's out of line. We're not reacting proportionally to it. And I understand why. It's altcoins. But I don't know what to say, man. It's the same shit, man. Altcoins are going to do what altcoins are going to do. You know what I'm saying? If Bitcoin's dropping, altcoins are going to drop harder. That's kind of calculated. You know, that's something we keep in mind when we enter this. Most people bought alt highs. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're not looking to buy the top, right? You wanna buy the lows, right? And yeah, this is a lot easier for people that, you know, don't, you know, spend all day at the screen. Because, you know, and I'm talking about people that, you know, have normal jobs or whatever. They just kind of hang out, do their thing, live their life. And then they buy when they see a red candle. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you're meant to do. It's going to be scary it's been scary every time in this cycle. Better buy some alts? I like that idea, dude. I want to buy some alts. I don't know. I think we might get better prices. You know? Like, I think we could get better prices from here. Yeah, we got a long way we could drop here. Look at Solana. I mean, it's not a long way, but like another 10% against Bitcoin. That's still pretty heavy. You know, the market's gonna feel that. You know what I'm saying? So Cardano's kind of in a bad place, but even Cardano's got, you know, speculative support. My point is, these are essentially lows for the market, and sentiment is in the fucking toilet. You know, like, that is the recipe for going long. I mean, for buying spot, at least. You know? I mean, long and short is kind of like a dirty word in the industry now because everyone's so fucking retarded with leverage. But, you know, I mean, it's like with every tool, right? I mean, I don't understand this movement to, like, demonize, you know, leverage. Like, don't fucking gamble, dude. You know, how about you start with don't gamble? You know, like, you can gamble with leverage just as much as you can gamble with shitcoins and Bitcoin and whatever else. I mean, yeah, you can gamble a lot faster. You can lose your money a lot faster. It's a great way to lose your money quickly, you know, if you're being an idiot with leverage. That's for sure. But, I mean, what do you expect? Like, you know, like, it's literally leverage. What do you think leverage means? Everything is faster. That's the point. For Every Human says, I think people's expectations were all messed up this entire year with this administration. People thought it would be insane at this point, I think. I mean, you know, missed expectations. It's you know, it's standard, really. It's standard. Sean says, yeah, buy some altcoins and lose another 60% on them. That's the problem, right? That's the problem, Sean. And I don't know about another 60%, but, you know, I definitely think they could drop hard. I do. Because if we look at Bitcoin up close, let's actually do some intimate analysis on Bitcoin. We're 11 likes away. Let's do that at 100. We're 11 likes away from 100. Can we smash them up? Can we get 11 more in here? I want to cover a little bit of that short-term analysis right here. See if we can smash them up. Thank you all very much for supporting the channel, by the way, during this live stream. Like I said, if you are new to the channel, you already know what to do. Hit up that subscribe button if you want to be able to get this content regularly. It is a rough market, but shit, you guys are still here. You're probably not going anywhere. You know what I'm saying? So that's at least good. We're 3 away from 100. Thank you all. Oh, there we go. We're above 100. Thank you all very, very much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, let's get into the short-term analysis. And you know, the first thing I gotta say is, like, this support level is probably at this point very, 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 very weak. You know, so this is a problem. You know, like, this is looking quite likely to break at this point. I'm actually kind of surprised it hasn't broken yet. You know, if I'm being honest, I am kind of surprised that it hasn't broken yet. But you know, I don't know how much longer that can last for, and I do think that if it does break, it's going to be a pretty nasty, you know, big candle. And there's still room for a deviation. You know, deviations can be pretty extreme. I mean, Bitcoin kind of had this level of support defined at about 103.8, and then we got a pretty, you know, pretty steep deviation down here. What was this? Below this level here, this was a $5,000 drop. So if our level's about here, then a 5K drop puts us at about, you know, 102,000, roughly around this yellow line here. As a potential kind of deviation point. This would really shake up altcoins. This would probably mean a 61.2% Bitcoin dominance, something like that. It would be pretty bad for Bitcoin. I'm sorry, for altcoins if that did end up happening. But you know, kind of as far as the deviation, you know, that's honestly super reasonable. Deviations get a lot more extreme than that, to be honest. I think you could even argue that, you know, to be honest, our floor in this range was at about kind of 81 grand, and we deviated 3 times. You know, this was a $3,000 3.7% deviation. This was a $4,600 deviation, and this was a $6,000 deviation. That was 7.7% down. So, you know, we could totally get, you know, even something like that, you know, and that still puts us down at 100. And then the thing is right below 100, we have 98. And this is actually a pretty good level of support, I think. I think it's a pretty good level of support. So, you know, I mean, deviations are very common. And with this kind of sentiment, I mean, we've got to see what the fear and greed index is saying. But, you know, I mean, this thing needs to update. It's going to update in about 4 hours here. I mean, yeah, this is saying we're at 42. We're obviously not at 42. We're a lot higher than that, right? A lot lower than that right now. So, you know, maybe we'll be live at that point, or maybe go live again at the daily close. But, and speaking of daily close, let's go ahead and look at the monthly. I wanna make another point here. I honestly don't think many people have even looked at this, but here we go. So, looking at this on the monthly time frame, you know, what we have, we're not going to look at this candle because it's still developing and it's got 27 days left. But looking at this candle and the candle before and the candle before and the candle before, we entered this range on this candle here. And this was when we set that all-time high at about 123, 124, whatever it was. From there, every single consecutive monthly candle traded inside of the one prior. Do we see that? Every single candle traded inside of the one that came prior. This candle was smaller than this one, which was smaller than this one, which was smaller than this one. So these candles were getting smaller. Now, in other words, if on a monthly time frame our candle bodies are getting smaller, we are consolidating. That's consolidation. So now, look, could this break down? And again, like I said, we're ignoring this candle because it's got 27 days left. But could this candle break down? Yes, of course. It's just going to be less likely. You know, like in a pattern like this, it could be as low as 33% likelihood, you know, that's going to happen. But again, like I said toward the beginning of this stream, one thing that I feel is very typical, and I mean very typical of crypto, is just the fact that crypto really scares the shit out of people during bull markets. I don't think I've ever been in a bull market where it didn't scare the shit out of people. I remember in the previous cycle, that point was here. This period, remember, we're on the monthly here. You're looking at 1 month candles here, so this is a lot of price action. This really scared people, you know, and I get it. I mean, shit, like this scared me too. I didn't sell, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't like, you know, doing anything like that. But you know, it was a minus 56% drop, and it took 2 months. You know, so that's a pretty steep drop. And we're clearly, you know, feeling some sort of extreme pain right now. It's just not really in terms of price action. I mean, it is if you're in alts, but again, it's like I've been saying, man, alts are alts. Alts are going to get hit. You know, like, I don't think that's super concerning because the nature of these alts is that if they're a good altcoin that you've picked, it's also going to recover. And it's going to recover in as extreme of a fashion as it dropped. I mean, so far that hasn't happened. So, you know, there's a lot of people saying it's never going to happen. And it might never happen. I don't know. But I don't, you know, I mean, like I said, over 8 years in the market, 8.5 years now, that's a long fucking time. You know, like, it just looks like one of those situations where it's just taking a little bit longer. It's going a little bit worse than everybody wants it to. And that's breaking spirits. But the way I see it, you know, those spirits are being broken. Those coins are being sold off inside of a pretty nice consolidation event. And I think, again, my thesis really rests on the AI boom. If we're looking at a healthy stock market because tech is carrying, then really the only next logical question to ask is how much longer and to what extent will tech continue to carry? In other words, if we understand that the stock market is being propped up by the tech sector, how much more will that take us? How much further can the tech sector take us? And how much longer can it take us there? If you think that, you know, the AI boom is kind of dying off and it's going to fizzle out and, you know, we've seen most of it, then we're pretty fucked. You know, like this shit is probably going to have to drop like 30%, 40% on the stock market. That might mean 80%, 90% on Bitcoin. I don't know. That could be really bad for Bitcoin. That could mean a sub 10K Bitcoin. It really could. I believe so. I believe it. You know, if we got that big of a drop, I mean, fucking hell, I think it's incredibly unlikely. But if that did end up happening, hell yeah, it's on the cards. It's possible. But if you think that the AI race is kind of just accelerating, which I do, I think it's accelerating. I think it's heating up. I think it's getting more and more intense. Amazon just announced like a multiple $100 billion partnership with OpenAI. Everybody's getting a piece of OpenAI. We've been talking about that on the Telegram channel. Four Flies Gold. Right here. Four Flies Gold. Get more free analysis from the team right here. You know, that's a great one to be getting into. So I think that's a really, really big deal, and I don't think people are really considering that. You know, if tech is going to keep growing from here, if tech is going to keep, you know, if we're in setup right now rather than deployment, which is really different. I gotta stress that, right? Like at one stage, stocks are going up because there's a promise of something in the future, but at the next stage, stocks are going up because those companies are delivering on that future, and I don't think we've really reached the delivery part, right? I mean, if we have, then it must mean the AI boom is kind of, not that it's wrapping up, but that it's reached some sort of saturation, right? That it's kind of going to start slowing down. I don't know how anyone can make an argument that this shit's about to slow down. The Librarian says if OpenAI somehow goes public, that's what I'm thinking we'll see a stock market top. We could do that. Could be a really good indicator, and we're looking at 2027 for that. They're not going IPO in 2026 from what I've seen. So I think that's huge. Talk about the crypto low time frames. We just did, bro. You know, in short, crypto time frames not looking good. You know, we could deviate. Honestly, I think you should rewind because I spent a long time on that just now. We could deviate down to like 100. We got support at 98. Altcoins would get absolutely destroyed if that did happen. But again, I just don't think that this is, you know, like looking at it on the monthly here. You know, 27 days left in this candle. Like, I'm happy if we wick down even to 91k in this month, you know, or 100 or whatever, you know. But I would, you know, it'd be surprising to me if we broke down and stayed down, you know. And even if we did, then we'd kind of just be gearing up to, you know, kind of be in a range that looks like this, which means maybe a couple more months of a shit boring downtrend, really. And here, altcoins got destroyed. And we are seeing it again right now. I mean, 60.7. I thought Bitcoin dominance was about done. But, nah, I wasn't right on that one. It's not done. Don't know how far it is from being done at this stage. I mean, it's going to keep going if Bitcoin keeps dropping. 74k is support. I'd say 75. I'd say 75 is kind of the last good level of support Bitcoin has. But it's also the best level of support. So I couldn't be too worried if we did fall down to 75. 75 is way down here. A lot of people won't like that. A lot of people be like, what the hell you mean, Sammy? 75? What do you mean? That's like 50k down from the all-time high. It's like, all right, man. Well, yeah, you're right. You can do math. Good job. But, you know, this is Bitcoin. Have you looked at Bitcoin? Do you know what asset you're trading? Bitcoin does 40% drops. I just showed you a 56% drop, and then Bitcoin set a brand new all-time high. That was in 2021. That was only 4 years ago. You know? So, I think this is a massive, massive bear trap. I think this is a massive bear trap. I'm looking at, you know, Librarian said it perfectly. You know, I'm looking at how polarized the motion is, and I'm looking at where the actual prices are, and this shit don't match up. This shit don't match up. I'm sorry, I'm not a fucking sheep. I'm not going to run with everybody that's touting these opinions right now. I don't see it. I don't see it. It's just not real. I don't see it. I could be wrong, shit, but, you know, it looks pretty good to me, I think. I'm not too worried. Let's go ahead and take a look at some news stuff. This looks interesting. Go ahead and look at that. Alright. And what is this? So, Mag7 up 1.5% as Amazon's deal fuels AI bets market wrap. Yeah, so that's going to be basically a further probably continuation of, well, let's see what Amazon stock is doing. Amazon stock fucking gapping up like nothing, mate. Incredible. So somebody knew about this deal on Friday. I mean, that was clear. Then it was announced. It was I don't even remember now. The days are just blending in, but it was announced very, very recently, and a huge jump up for Amazon. Tons of speculation still going on. You know, like, are we really telling ourselves that this speculation isn't going to reach crypto? What do you mean? Like, how do you think rotations work? When people make money, they diversify their portfolio to make more money. This is obvious. You've done it. You know what I mean? Like, if you were in a position where you've made money in a crypto bull market previously, You were probably in that position too, where you made a lot of money. You started with 100, now you have 1,000. And because you have 1,000, you're putting 100 here and 100 there and 100 here. You know what I mean? And you're spreading out a little bit because you want to grow even more. Because the number one thing that happens when you make profit is that you get more greedy. That's what happens. That's how money works, right? So with all these stocks going up, I mean, where is that, you know, like, there's a lot of rotation potential there. But there's also a lot of crashing potential. Shit, if these things just go tip. But again, it's like, do you think, again, this is ultimately the bet, right? This is the bet that, you know, directly applies to crypto is, do you think that, you know, these tech stocks are in trouble and that they're kind of coming to the end of their rally? And if you do, then yeah, of course you have to sell off your crypto because, you know, what, like, is crypto gonna, I mean, you don't have to sell it off. Shit, I still wouldn't, even if we do go into a bear market. I've been holding this shit since 2018, 2017. I've been all in. You know, I've been all in on this shit since fucking 2017, 2018. So I'm not going anywhere, you know, but a lot of people would rightly want to, you know, sell if they think that, you know, we're seeing a global market collapse and, you know, it's just going to be like the greatest depression. I don't know how we're getting a depression if we've got an AI boom. I don't see it. That just sounds silly. That sounds like, you know, fetishizing disasters, you know, which is very, very common amongst men, as we know. This is why we're all in crypto. Fortunes are made in moments like this. Exactly. You need some fucking balls, you know? Like, it's crypto. You need to have a pair of balls, and then you might be able to do some work here. Or you might get destroyed. Shit, it's glory run territory. You know, you get everything, or you get wiped off. Basically, that's kind of how the world in 2025 seems to work. Unfortunately, kind of always has been that way historically, really. But I think it's a lot more extreme. Need to pay rent to exactly. This is where things get tricky, right? But I'll tell you what, I mean, if you're kind of strapped for cash, crypto's not going to do it. Crypto's probably going to fuck you up because, you know, you got to, you know, there's sharks in this game. You got to be on your A game. You can't be on your A game when you're worried about your bills. You need income. You need a job, you know? You need a job. But we are closing in on 150 likes, so thank you all very much. If you haven't already, please do smash them up. We need 25 to hit 150. I'm looking at the 4-hour RSI bull divergence and praying. Yeah, I'm sure there is going to be a little bit of a positive divergence at this stage, isn't there? Let's see. Let's see what we got here. 4-hour. Yeah, I see that. I see that. I see that. So we're looking at that and basically that. So higher lows on the RSI, lower highs on Bitcoin. That is a hidden sign of strength developing, showing us basically that the market is getting stronger at these levels, not weaker. And you can actually eyeball that because the dump started off pretty, you know, heavy. And it was pretty heavy. And it's not as heavy anymore, which is why it's misleading because it's not the full story. This is clearly a weak chart, but there is, I mean, I've always said RSI divergences are kind of the first earliest sign that show up, but because they're so early, they fire off prematurely. And this could be one of those cases of a premature. I'm sorry to break it to you, dude. Could be one of those cases of a premature, you know, kind of bullish divergence that doesn't really work out for us here. I do think that's possible. Haven't seen me since 2021. Glad you popped up on the feed. Hope all as well. Thank you very much, Hutch. Yeah, it's great to see you back here. I am doing well. Thank you very much. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in, dude. Good to see you back. So, looking at the heat map, 3.6, Ethereum. All right, let's take a look at Ethereum. So, I mean, Ethereum's chart is broadly kind of doing what Bitcoin's doing. I think, I've always said, I think Ethereum's chart is a little bit better than Bitcoin. But, you know, that's just because I think its resistance is thinner. You know, I don't think it's got as much resistance if it starts trending up. But obviously, inside of a downtrend, it's going to do worse than Bitcoin. And it is, because we can see Ethereum against Bitcoin here. This is the chart that I think is important. You know, it looks like we might be getting a second opportunity to buy at this level. And that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and throw a fib on this. See if a fib is saying anything to us. 382 level where we are right now. 618 down here. I don't like any of these fib levels, to be honest. I don't like them. I don't like them. But yeah, you do have support down here, which I think is going to be potentially pretty good for Ethereum. But yeah, I think Bitcoin's, as usual, lives and dies at the mercy of the S&P 500, and at that it kind of just dies. You know, at the mercy of the S&P 500, but it still kind of, you know, traces it in terms of, you know, where Bitcoin reverses and so on and so forth. But here on the 4 hour for the S&P, here on the hourly for the S&P, it could be a bearish continuation before we, you know, dip down a little bit more, back test this all-time high, and then start rallying up. That seems to be kind of what the S&P is doing quite a bit, right? This low kind of coincided with, you know, I think this kind of general resistance range over here, back test that, and then rally, and then you back test again. I mean, that's just, you know, that's the only thing the S&P does. It just kind of back tests and flies, you know? So I think that's probably where we still are right now for the love my stream. Thank you very much. Yeah, really do appreciate it. If you are enjoying it, please do smash those likes up. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel. You want to be able to catch this content live. It's time-sensitive content. It's very time-sensitive content in these markets here. So if you are subscribed, if you have got that bell icon checked, you know, so that you get notified of live streams, you'll be able to catch these pretty quickly when we do go live. First time here, but you're active with chatters, big thumbs up, smashing a sub, babe. Well, thank you very much. I mean, look, I'm going to stay active with the chat as much as I can. At some points, it does kind of get ahead of me a little bit, but I always do try my best. But yeah, I think, you know, this thing could continue down, and it would, you know, definitely cement basically like $100,000 Bitcoin minimum, if not much more, lower, or maximum, I guess. It would be pretty bad. It would be pretty bad. But again, like, temporary, I think. I mean, I don't see like a market top here on the S&P, and I don't see it on Bitcoin either, frankly. Just looks like people lost their fucking mind again at a support level. That's what it looks like to me. Just trying to, you know, keep it real. Yeah, we'll take a quick look at gold. Gold is now back up above $4,000. But it looks like it's about to take a big leg down. It looks like it. It looks like it's going to take a nice leg down here. And I think it ought to. I think, you know, this is a level that gold really does want to return down to. It's about 3,300, 3,500. I think this level makes a lot of sense for gold. This is a very, very reasonable pullback zone, especially considering it is now in a downtrend. I do think it's going to be quite likely that, you know, if we are seeing that kind of broader move, and it does look like this bleed from gold has definitely helped the stock market. Let me verify that. I could be wrong about that. Yeah, no, it has. It definitely has. Because we can see this is the S&P 500 right here. And S&P bottoms here. This is very close to when gold bottoms, tops, I mean. Gold tops here, and the S&P really starts flying from that point. When gold, look at this, they top at the same time here, and then a couple days later, it's a totally different story. S&P is flying, gold is getting hit. So I do think that gold bleed has rotated into the stock market a little bit here, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Is the lawsuit against Binance going to wreck everyone? I don't really know much about that. I don't really know too much about that. But here, let's go back to this Bloomberg article. I'm very interested to read this. So the start of what's known as the best month of the year for stocks. There's so much anxiety in the market. Starting an article with this line. Saw tech rallying as Amazon's $38 billion, okay, it wasn't hundreds of billions, my bad, with OpenAI added fuel to the AI trade. Bond yields rose, crypto sank. A renewed advance in mega caps drove a gauge of the Magnificent Seven up 1.5%. The ChatGPT maker will pay Amazon Web Services for access to hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA graphics processing units. Oh my god, there is so much intertwining in this industry. And this is a problem, right? This interdependence is a vulnerability, but it's only a vulnerability if you think AI is going to crash, which it definitely could, but is it going to crash now? And if not, does that mean we have more sunshine to make money before it does crash? Because I agree with you guys that we might get a really catastrophic crash. It makes sense, you know, U.S. budget deficit, stuff like that. It's pretty scary, you know, when you think of all the real macro factors that are at play in this market. But At the same time, if you are expecting a crash, then surely you want to pad your fall, right? You want to, when you crash down to ideally a higher level than where you are right now. And ideally much higher, maybe 5 times higher, 10 times higher, whatever you can do. Maybe it's just 20% higher, but you want to cushion, you want to be prepared for those crashes so that when they come, you're still in a better position than you are today. And that really is where I say, okay, well, for how long do you think the sun will keep on shining on this industry? And if you think that if you think it doesn't have long left, then these stock markets, have to start reversing. They have to start crashing, right? Because there's nothing else that's kind of saving them right now. So shares of the online retail giant jumped 4.5% despite the AI optimism. About 330 firms in the S&P actually retreated. Monday's deal saw another industry giant join the ranks of those building or retrofitting data centers to back OpenAI. The animal spirits surrounding the revolutionary technology confronted calls for broader market consolidation after a relentless surge since April's meltdown. Traders also kept an eye on the few economic reports slated for this week. U.S. factory activity shrank in October for an 8th straight month, while inflationary pressures continued to ease. Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago president warned he is more concerned about inflation than jobs. Wow. His San Francisco counterpart said officials should keep an open mind about the possibility of a December cut. Yeah, we're probably going to get a December cut. Kind of have to. Governor Stephen Mnuchin noted policy remains restrictive. Concerns over high valuations persist, and the Federal Reserve's policy outlook appears murkier. Despite the strong gains in equity markets this year, we continue to believe that this bull market has room to run. S&P 500 hovered around 68.55. A lot of this feels not super relevant. Let me try and find some more important parts here. Unshakable faith that equities can only go higher. Yeah, so November is usually a pretty good month for returns. The question is whether those year-end gains have already been priced into the market, following one of the best stretches for the S&P since the 50s. There are too many bulls. Just one unexpected event could knock stocks down from their highs amid poor market breadth. But that may be tough to do, given that traders are usually optimistic around the holidays. Yeah, there is a lot. There is a lot working for the market right now, I think. I think it's in a pretty good position. With the Fed forcing investors to rethink a December rate cut, any notable deterioration in sentiment could lead to a market dip. It's a very, very anxiety-stricken market. And I really think this makes it a great opportunity for them to do some unexpected shit. And I think unexpected is starting to look like upside here. As the adage goes, don't fight the tape, and we agree it is hard to argue with a bull market making consistent new highs. And again, like we wonder, like, this isn't hitting crypto, right? So this must mean crypto's dead. But again, I feel like if we just kind of look at what's been going on with crypto this cycle, we were due to kind of slow down a little bit. We were due to kind of correct a little bit. And if I go ahead and, throw the RSI back on, we can kind of see that. We've been sitting in neutral territory now for a lot longer. But, we saw an RSI as high as 87, and that was only on this peak. We've been getting a lower and lower RSI here. So we're in good, like, kind of neutral territory here to kind of set ourselves up for a blast off. In fact, that's kind of how it's gone throughout this market cycle. If we take a look at the RSI, when we started seeing our relative strength kind of fall back into neutral territory, that's when the pumps came in, right? So this is not a gauge of sentiment. This is a gauge of momentum, and it's a gauge of momentum on the weekly time frame. And what this is showing us is that when our momentum resets and it falls back into neutral territory right here, this line is 50% right here. 50 RSI. When that's happened, that's when we've kind of kicked off our rallies, both times. And we're kind of in that range right now. We are kind of in that range right now. So I think that's definitely interesting. I think that's definitely a good sign, showing that things could be good. And that's my point, right? Is that, the markets have kind of slowed down a little bit, but I don't think that they're moving in any kind of irregular fashion. I think that they're just kind of correcting after incredible rally, and these kind of corrections are pretty healthy, man. I mean, what do you want me to say? I can't just, make shit up. This is what I'm seeing. I know everyone wants me to just be bearish right now, but I don't fucking see it, dude. I don't see it. If I saw it, I'd say it, you know? If this rally does take a breather, seasonal strength could help limit the depth and duration of the drawdown. That makes sense. However, given the strength over these previous 6 months, it is likely some gains have been pulled forward. Momentum remains positive, but the concentration of returns is very high. Investors overweight in AI are having a much better year. This is the fun part, right? Is because like you pick good investments, that section of your portfolio grows really big. And you know, you might start off with a 20% holding, but if that shit pulls a 5x, you're now at like 80% holding or whatever, you know, compared to the rest of your portfolio. So you got to start kind of rebalancing again. That's where I said, you know, you start kind of taking a little bit more risk. You start diversifying, going into different sectors. That's where I think, you know, we could start seeing a lot of spillover into crypto. Old market axiom that gains beget gains applies to this analysis, as years where the market is up big through October have typically seen better performance in November and December. An upbeat earnings season has helped mitigate the missing macro perspective. Yep. It's just a bunch of analysts saying what's going on, really. What do you expect, really? It's just the news. I don't know. Every time I open up the news, I'm like, shit, you guys are like not saying anything super important or interesting, but that's their job, right? They just kind of say it, I guess, for people that aren't really paying attention. But I disagree with that. I think that if you want to be in these markets, I think if you want to trade these markets and make money off them, you got to take them as seriously as if, you know, it's your thing. You know, even if you are busy, even if you do have kids, you're just going to rely on someone else. That's hard. You know, that's really hard to do because it's not easy to have conviction in yourself when things get scary if you don't even know what the hell's going on. If you haven't even done the research yourself and you're just trusting someone else. What if that person starts getting scared? That's happening a lot right now. You know, your role model's getting scared in the market. That's happening a lot right now. So I think that's important. I think that's important to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and refresh this. Let's see what these numbers are at with a fresh perspective here. It's 28 trillion for gold, pretty much. 5.04 for Nvidia. Apple's just sitting a tiny little bit below 4 trillion. Wow. Microsoft's right there. Alphabet's catching up. No one's even talking about Google. Alphabet's catching up. Yeah, Amazon's trying to get into the 5 trillion club. It's on the way. Meta, I think, is interesting. I do want to keep an eye on Meta. I don't think that they're going to keep on staying irrelevant. I think they could actually turn into something really, really big. And Tesla, you guys already know my thoughts. I'm so bullish on Tesla. I really see Tesla. I really do. Isn't it crazy? Ethereum is bigger than AMD. Isn't that crazy? It's bigger than Costco. I do find that pretty crazy. Alright guys, I'm going to be rounding off this stream here. We have just hit 1 hour live. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Really do appreciate all the likes, all the support, all the subscriptions. Thank you all very, very much. If you do have any final questions, anything you want me to go through, any questions, please do drop them in the live chat now. Otherwise, I'll probably be rounding this stream off. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. So thank you all very much for tuning in with me today. 60.8 on Bitcoin dominance. It is looking very, very strong right now. Yep, just keeps gaining ground right now as we speak. I'm probably not going to be looking at like random altcoins because they're all in a bad place, but I will. Let's look at 𝐻_bar. Look at 𝐻_bar on Binance probably. Don't even look that bad. This is where the support is, man. This is exactly where the support is. You want to see it come down a little bit and bounce off this level. Dot? What's Dot doing? Is Dot messing you up, dude? What's Dot doing, bro? Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. But I don't really want to say it's over because, again, I just think if the whole market wakes up, then why wouldn't Polkadot? You know? But it could be like an oversaturation problem, honestly. It could be that there's too many altcoins. You got to pick the ones that are a little bit more loved, a little bit higher up on the rankings. That's my guess. Let me see. Where's Dot? Where's Polkadot? Have I missed it? No, I haven't. Where is Polkadot? I must have missed it. Come on, it must be somewhere here. It's not? Is it lower? Oh, it's down here. Wow. It's a $4 billion market cap. Yeah, it's pretty small. Litecoin support zones. Litecoin is easy, you know. Litecoin, you know, you're looking at it against Bitcoin. It's at basically fucking all-time lows, more or less. So I like Litecoin here. I like Litecoin, you know, another 10% lower if we get it. I don't even know if we're gonna get that. We might. Litecoin against the dollar. I think this is a little bit easier. The buy level is gonna be about 74. You know, somewhere around there. That makes sense. Because that's just the bottom. Hang on, that was on the logarithmic. Yeah, no, the correct level is going to be about 62. That's kind of, that's how I have this support level drawn. I quite like that kind of 60 to 70 range. Looks pretty good for Litecoin. Alright, I'm probably going to round this one off here. So thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate you all tuning in today. And, yeah, we're going to be going live through this volatility. So if you are subscribed, you're going to be able to continue to catch that. Definitely get yourself inside of BroFi VIP right now. It is in pre-launch. You're getting the best price it's ever going to be at, and you're getting locked in at that price as well, which is really, really cool. And like I said, we've already been handling this market pretty well. I mean, shit, this thing only started like a week ago, and we're already doing pretty well in this market. I'm seeing green in this chat right here. We've been discussing a lot of strategy. We've gone very, very deep in strategy inside of that chat. I've actually laid out a couple of strategies I've never discussed before. Specifically, yeah, right here. It's linked in the description. Enter.brofi.com at the top of the description. It is great. it is really, really cool. And we definitely have already seen some very, very interesting discussion. I'm trying to find one of the ones I was yeah, it's like outlining literally like my entire strategy of like where I think the market could go and what I would do at each level, things like that. Both in crypto and stocks. That's been going on in the live chat just today. So definitely get yourself inside if you have missed it so far. Like I said, at early access pricing, absolutely sick. We've already released the 5 key pillars. That's arguably the most important. You could just consume this inside of the BroFi certified course. You could just consume this and you'd be good. You'd be good. You know, that is enough. But you're getting a whole lot more stocks, crypto, everything, commodities, whatever there is. But obviously crypto is always going to be my favorite market. So I'm always going to, you know, kind of focus on crypto. But yeah, definitely check that out if you are interested. But with that, ladies and gents, thank you all very much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. We'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.